Welcome to Key Conversations, where you get to connect with the best of the music business, unlocking the secrets to exploding your music career, presented by In the Key of Success. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. The conversations you're about to hear are between our special guest and participants of my MX4 course, the Marketing and Branding, Money-Making, Mentorship Mastermind for Musicians. They are singers, songwriters, composers, producers, and artists just like you, asking their burning questions of our experts while transforming their careers over 6 weeks. If you think this could be you, check out mx4course.com to schedule a free half-hour coaching call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. So, let's get started. Today, I am extremely excited to introduce to you Tracy Maddux, the CEO of CD Baby. And if you guys don't know CD Baby, it's my first and favorite company I ever worked with that supported me as a DIY indie artist. It's a fantastic distribution company. Everyone that gets a CD from CD Baby, there's like funny notes in them. It's just like the coolest company. So I'm really honored that Tracy's taking a little bit of time out of his day to be with us today. So welcome, Tracy.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
So let's kick it off. You're a CEO of a massive music industry company. What do you look back on in your whole career that you sort of see as turning points that got you to CD Baby? What got you to CD Baby?
That's a great question. My background is actually in corporate finance. And when the opportunity came along to join the team here at CD Baby, I was the CFO of a company making embedded computer systems. And that is as dull as it sounds. So an opportunity to work with really young people, a much younger group of people that are dynamically engaged and passionate about what they do was a tremendous opportunity for me. So I joined the CD Baby team in October of 2010 as Chief Operating Officer. Our biggest and probably my first challenge in that role was a facility move. CD Baby was still renting a sizable warehouse and office facility from Derek Sivers' father, who's a real estate magnate here in Oregon. And we had a fairly large and disorganized warehouse system, probably about 1 million CDs that had never sold, that weren't properly inventoried. And so in addition to moving a couple million CDs and relocating our 90 employees at the time to a new office, we had to install a kind of a modern era inventory control system and really kind of pull the business into the modern age on the physical side of it. And that was the first challenge. The second one, just a few months later, we had an opportunity to join Spotify for the benefit of our artists who wanted to participate in what in early 2011 was a new opportunity in streaming. And so, the digital challenge, kind of a good analog to the physical challenge, was how do we deliver and get our artists participating in what's a new revenue opportunity in streaming for the first time in 2011. So within the first few months of my employment, we got to see some pretty seismic shifts in the business with the introduction of our first streaming opportunity, and also with a pretty big facility move. And I wish I could say it all went smoothly, but it did all go. And we've been in our new facility here for the last 6 years, and it's been 6 years of a lot of growth. Very cool. Wow. That's awesome. I mean, to move 1 million CDs, I'm like stuck on that right there. That's pretty cool. And I love that you've got this finance background and you love music. I've seen you at the conferences and you're just like a sponge and you love the conversations of it, which is a really cool combination, especially for indie artists trying to figure out how to make it a financially feasible career choice and how to use CD Baby to do that. And bringing in streaming. So we're going to sort of focus in on that in this conversation. So I'm going to pass the torch here to these guys in this MX4 course. And I think I'll start with Lou. I know Lou's got a great general question that I think every musician that uses CD Baby is wondering. So let me unmute you there and you can.
Hello, Tracy. Thank you for taking the time.
Hi, Lou.
I've been associated with CD Baby, probably 15 years, and Derek and I still correspond. So it's good to finally meet you. My question was, how do we increase our presence in the streaming world? Yeah. I've got 5 albums with compilations of original songs. They're Christian, so they're not mainstream, and I get a lot of streaming hits. But what can I do to increase that, quadruple, let's say?
So I would focus on 3 Ps. The first one is participation. We're still seeing artists who are, rightly concerned about the low streaming rates, opting not to participate, which is the first P in streaming, and that's that is a challenge, certainly. I think the most important point to focus on with regards to the growth in streaming is it is now more than 50% of our average artist's earnings. And what we saw in 2016 was this participation, not just by the artist, but most importantly by the consumer, has changed the amount of consumers in the marketplace. And due to streaming, the average artist is earning more in 2016 than they did in 2015 after years of decline in the format shift. So get your music in as many streaming services as possible. And I can't enunciate that point strong enough. There are many different streaming services, and they're all trying to basically have indie content available for the various types of fans that are now participating in these ecosystems. So participation, number one. Number 2 is playlist. This is my second P. We're seeing artists get amazing traction when they don't just focus on their own music, but focus on their music in the context of other music, and angling to get their music in the right playlist definitely opens that up to different new fans, new moods, new genres, and finding a playlist that resonates with a new fan base can be extremely impactful at generating new fans. And the final P I'll throw out there is promote. It's incumbent on us at CD Baby to give artists that are self-distributed the tools of promotion. And we've worked to do that over the years with various platforms like Host Baby, and more recently with platforms like Here Now, which we launched a year ago, and show.co, which we acquired in Q4 and have just launched in beta this week. From our perspective, these tools used independently in different parts of the streaming or download ecosystem can help you to connect with fans. And most of these tools are either very low cost or, in the case of show.co, free to you. Engaging with them to offer a download, for instance, in exchange for an email, or to do a promotional campaign around your music. All these things, will essentially help you attract more fans, more listeners at the streaming services, and help increase the penetration and growth and use of your music.
That's awesome. I think that to have the 3 Ps is like you have to participate first and foremost. You can't have something that you're not. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but it's like, oh wait, have I actually gone in and checked to make sure I'm opted into the Spotify distribution and all the other streaming? So I love that. Playlist is huge for sure. And I think that just takes some time and research and listening and sort of, scheduling in a little bit of time every week to dig into that ecosystem. And obviously the promotion and using the tools available and checking out new stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check out show.co and Here Now. So very cool. Great question to kick us off, Lou. Thanks. I'm going to pass it to Carolyn.
Hi, Tracy. More than a question, I'm just happy to see, when I researched CD Baby and you online, that there are some major artists who really speak highly about CD Baby, like Mary Gauthier, George Benson. And so it's really exciting for me to, hear this. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, Mary's a great case study. She actually gave us the best quote about CD Baby that I can't use publicly because it's a little bit vulgar. But she actually stops by CD Baby every time she's in Portland. She's played for our employees twice. We do these concerts here. We've got about 125 employees here in Portland, Oregon, and she's been a great friend to us. But last time she stopped by and played for us, she just gave a little talk to our employees, and she said in pretty vulgar terms that CD Baby was the only company in the music industry that's never screwed her. I mean, that's a great endorsement. I get these great interactions all the time with artists that I love, and I think their sentiments are a lot like Mary's. In fact, the other day, you could see behind me, there's a Dave Matthews Band poster on the wall. I'm a huge fan. I've seen him live probably 100 times. And Boyd Tinsley, who's been a violinist for Dave Matthews since the beginning, called in the other day and said, I'm generating, this may be too confidential to disclose right now, but I'm already down this path, so here I go. I'm looking to distribute my new solo project. We'd love to work with you guys. And of course, everybody in the building knows I'm a huge Boyd Tinsley fan. They know I'm a huge Dave Matthews fan. And I'm jumping up and down because we get to support this great artist that I love. And, we get to interact with this community. And what Boyd and his manager told us is, hey, you've got a great reputation. You've also helped Tim Reynolds, who also plays with Dave on a previous release. I'm like, oh yeah, we did that too. And so it really is great to have this superb community of artists that we do good things for and that we add great value for, and that, we keep our promises with. And I think that kind of underlines a key premise of our brand and our value proposition, which is transparency. I mean, we do what we say, and we say what we mean, and that shows up with long-term relationships with amazing artists who might not have been as prominent or successful when they started on the platform, but when they stay with us or when they come back, it's a great compliment to the value of services that we provide. A couple other examples I'll give along those lines. To me, another artist that I'm just in love with is Regina Spektor. We don't distribute Regina's current last 3 or 4 releases because she has a label deal, but her first 2 releases she's kept with us. More recently, you probably saw the pantsless duo at the Grammys, 21 Pilots, who as they're taking this stage, taking their pants off, I'm saying to my wife, yeah, we distributed their first album. I don't know what's about to happen, but I hope it turns out all right. And it turned out just fine. 21 Pilots started on our platform. They've retained their original release with us. They have a label deal now. It's great to see them succeed with the majors. It's also great to be able to support them. And I think it's a vote of confidence that they've left their original releases with us. And I could say the same of Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson, all who I think have had nice things to say about CD Baby over the years. And a testament to that is that they allow us to continue to help them with their original independent releases.
That's really cool. Great question. I didn't even know that the 21, those guys were CD Baby. Super cool. And I saw them starting to take their pants off and I was like, oh God, okay, what's going on here? And then their story around why they took their pants off was fantastic. I think they were like playing in their bedroom and they're like, if without their pants on, and they're like, if we ever win a Grammy, we're going to do it just like this, no pants on. And then they won a Grammy. They're like, all right, here we go. And it was just kind of perfect. So
it's a great indie story. It's just great. We made this commitment to each other and here we are. And you know what? It's probably not what I would do, but they pulled it off with some level of dignity in class.
They really did. I mean, it was cool. Very cool. All right. Zach, you are looking ready to go. Do you have a question for Tracy?
Yeah. Tracy, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your thoughts on the industry and whether or not LPs are dead. I keep hearing that the LP format is over and that we should be releasing singles every month rather than a record once a year. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're certainly seeing it in the numbers. It's not dead, and it's not, I wouldn't even say dying, it's just changing. So just to kind of give you an overall idea of the number of releases that we supported last year worldwide in about 180 different countries and territories, we supported 135,000 paid releases. We did about another 35,000 free releases on cdbaby.com. Of those, slightly more than 50% were albums, and slightly less than 50% singles. That balance shifts every year a little bit more in favor of singles. 2 years ago, it was about 35% singles. And so rapidly we're seeing releases shifting towards the single format. I feel about this shift the same way I feel about format shifts. I mean, if you look at the overall revenue of CD Baby, only about 8% of our revenues, gross revenues today, are actually physical CDs and vinyl. And that shift, has taken a long time. A lot of that shift is growth in other formats happening, and more particularly recently, streaming is happening very quickly. Format shifts are inevitable, but they never happen all at once, and they take time, and they sometimes take different forms and formats. The most common thing that we're seeing with the single versus the album is the single before the album, not the single instead of the album, where artists are using 1, 2, or 3 singles, and sometimes even an LP to promote what's coming next. And some might think of that as almost a way to test the content to see if there's a market for the content. But we're not seeing a wholesale shift away from albums. And in fact, on a kind of an absolute basis, the number of albums released in 2016 is about the same, maybe a little bit more than it was in 2015. I think there's a genre question there. Certainly in the pop music genre, singles tend to hit more frequently. There's a lot more experimentation with singles on YouTube. But in other genres, jazz, classical, even classic rock, there seems to be a market for, consumers seem to prefer to listen to a whole album. And so I don't think it's an absolute change in the market. I certainly don't think that the LP is dead. I do see good marketing reasons as an independent artist to release singles first in order to promote an upcoming album work. But I think tales of the LP's death are greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, that's great. Those are actually really good numbers. And the 50-50 are a little higher than 50 for records, a little lower than 50 for singles. Is that just the income, or that's what people are releasing? Because people may be releasing more singles, but is it actually, are you seeing more sales of the singles versus albums?
Yeah, that was units. That's an interesting question, and I haven't cut the data that way. And it's probably, it'll take a little bit of time to kind of drill down and understand what it means. I mean, obviously albums sell for more, and we're still selling full album downloads. We're still selling CDs and vinyl, and we sell singles as downloads and singles as streams. When you look at song economics, right, you kind of break it down at the stream level, you're typically talking about a song. And so maybe to weed through all that data and see, if there's a preeminent or succeeding format that suggests that the album is dying. My gut tells me, without looking at the data, which is always a dangerous thing, that the album is not dead in certain genres. And in certain genres, my guess is that the album is preferred by that type of user that prefers to consume the album. If I have a band that I like, the Dave Matthews Band, for instance, Boyd Tinsley's upcoming release, I probably buy the album because I'm a fan of the artist. And so just if you follow that kind of logic on consumer behavior, if I've got a fan base that doesn't want to consume my singles but wants to consume everything I have, I'm probably apt to sell albums.
Yeah. When I buy music, I always buy the album. I find it really annoying to have to go through and cherry pick and figure out which one's going to be my favorite song, because most of the time it's not the hit. That's just how I end up listening. So I'm always curious with the single, LP format, where is it trending, and what about with streaming? And there's probably a whole nother data set when it comes to streaming singles versus full albums, I'm sure. But yeah, great question, Zach. All right, let's go to Ken. Do you have a question for Tracy?
Yeah. Hi, Tracy. I'm thinking about SoundScan, and I'm assuming that when one of us sells a CD on CD Baby, that over time is reported to SoundScan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so my question is, as an independent artist, out playing gigs and that sort of thing, is there a way for me, when I sell albums at a gig, for for $10 cash, or maybe someone gives me their credit card on my Square device. Is there a way for me as an independent artist to report those sales to SoundScan?
There's two different startups, and I just forgot the name of the other one, but one's called @Venue. It's the ampersand Venue out of Seattle that has an application for full kind of merch management, and any CDs that are sold through the application get reported to SoundScan. There was another, MerchCat's the other one. MerchCat out of Atlanta is a startup. They actually exhibited at the DIY conference in Chicago this last year. They have similar application and similar integration with Nielsen SoundScan.
I also got an actual credit card scanner from CD Baby that I still have 12 years later. I get $30 deposit back when I send it back. And the forms,
can, in fact, yep.
I still get my $30.
Yes.
But I scan the credit card at the shows, and then, I send in the yellow, I keep a copy, and then I mail to CD Baby ideally a whole bunch of those. And that was the way I used to do it until I got my little, swipe Square. I use a PayPal swiper thing. But that's a great question, because I never thought, okay, I'm not using CD Baby scanner thing for oh my God, I keep calling them CDs for credit cards anymore. How can I report that? And I actually haven't thought of that. So great question, Ken.
So I have one of those too out in the garage, one of those devices. So if I send that back to you, you're going to send me $30?
Send them back. We got $30 for you.
It's in the mail, man.
That's amazing. I'm like, oh, all right. We just had our finance week here. So we're talking about like random outside the box ways to make a little cash, like Hail Mary version. I'm going to add that to the list. Mail back your CD Baby credit card swiper. We are going to come back next week and continue this conversation with Tracy. So don't go away. Please don't forget to rate and comment on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you like this podcast. It's the best way to keep it going, get more subscribers, and continue to share this awesome information with the indie music community. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All of the music on this podcast was provided by yours truly. The theme song is called Inevitably, and it was written with Cameron Ernst and produced by Joey Auck. If you're interested to find out more about my own composing and songwriting projects, go to cbemusic.com. If you're a musician looking to really get some results that you're psyched about in your music career, then head to inthekeyofsuccess.com, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their easy point-and-click editor. All the features you could possibly imagine for a professional website are built in. So, because you are a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special 3-month free trial just for you. Go to www.inthekeyofsuccess.com/resources and click on the Bandzoogle logo to access your free extended trial.